And there's the card that we're going to work on today. And this card, like I said, I use the, what's this thing called? Fine Art Floral. I have to keep all this straight. There's Art Gallery, Fine Art Floral. This is the paper that I use for my inspiration. I really loved this color here, but that color's not listed back here. And I went, that's not the color, because they listed Mossy Meadow. I said, that's not Mossy Meadow. That color is actually Pretty Peacock. Hi, Sandra. So I chose Pretty Peacock to use for my my stems. And then I really like the look of the white with the pool party. And that's one of the colors listed. So I decided to see if I could create my version of that flower that was white with pool party. So there are the colors I'm using. And I think I did a pretty good, hi Carol, I don't know what you'd call it, copy of the image. So for that card, I'm using the Art Gallery stamp set and the Floral Gallery dies. And this is a bundle. Oh, Carol, I bet you're cold up there. And I used this one, and this one. And I know you're saying, you didn't use that one. Wait till you see how I did it. I wanted those flowers to have the look of white. And I thought, how can I do it? And I think I've come up with a way that works pretty darn good. So let me move that to the side. And I'm starting with a white card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. All right. And I will tell you, I changed the sentiment for each card. So I have 2 happy birthdays, and then I did another one for the next and another one for the last one. So I pulled out my large image, I guess you'd say. It's the one that has the most surface area. And I thought, how can I stamp this so that it shows up, but it doesn't show up? So I'm going to show you. Ooh, 26 degrees. That is cold. First thing I have to do, though, is I have to stamp my stem. Because if you don't stamp your stem first, then you may not get your card on there right. I shouldn't say your card, but your flower. And I've got a couple of spots that are... All right, come on here. There we go. All right, and I did it at an angle just to give it some interest. Right, so I stamped it first. This one, if you stamp in the pool party, there's no form to the flower. So I thought, I wonder if I take this one and I take my pool party and I use a sponge dauber and I sponge the edge all the way around because I didn't want it dark. So I had to think of how I could do it. And I know I'm going over top of the card, but I'm sorry. All right, so I've gone all the way around. And you can kind of see there's a little bit of a blue-green tinge to it. So I've put that down and I stamped it. So that gave the outline, but it left the center white. Then I took the solid image that fills it in and I inked it up with Pool Party and I put it down and I stamped it in the center. And that's how I got that white look, but some form to the flower. My sentiment came from that same set, and I inked it up with, I'm going to open this up so it lays flat, the Pretty Peacock. Oops, I keep moving I want to keep this straight, so I put it down straight. And I stamped my sentiment. And there's my clean and simple card. I love the flower and the way it turned out. I've seen it done with the gold leafing, Linda. I think when people do this, they put too much gold on it. It looks like a blob of gold. So you can do it with gold leafing, but you have to be careful. So just know that. And then I wanted to step it up. So I thought, well, I'll use the same colors. Like I said, I changed the sentiment. And I used the same procedure for the flower and the stem, but this time I used the dies and cut them out. So let me show you how I did this one. The first thing I did was I took the scripty background and a piece of Pool Party and I embossed it because I wanted to give some interest to the background. So after I emboss it, and I'm going to close these up because I have everything stamped and all. I don't want to put my hand on in my ink and take and get it on my project. So then I'm going to add my double-sided tape all the way around. Remember, if you emboss something, you need to use, hey Tina, you need to use double-sided tape to make sure it sticks down. And the reason being is when you emboss, there are valleys and flat surfaces. And your valleys, if they don't have enough glue on them, they're not going to stick. So I use the tear and tape because I know it's not going to come apart. I know people have used the glue, but if you have a lot of embossing on it, I have found the glue still doesn't give it enough to really hold it. All right, I've got my, oops, this side. Card base done. Now I'm ready to put my background on. I'm going to take this off. Make sure you burnish your ends on your sticky tape. All right. And then we could put this down and put our flower together. I used a lot of dimensionals on the back. Now, when you put this down, watch your wording because there is, even though it doesn't really say a whole lot with what I've read, I don't know where it comes from because it says, so full of joy when you stood on the, and that's it, but who knows. It's probably some kind of story or